Welcome to the Flying S Podcast, bringing City Hall to your headphones. Your go-to source for community news, events, and stories straight from your local Sidney government. I'm Brittany King.
And I'm Andrew Bowser. And every other Friday, we'll bring you what's happening in our hometown and local government. Fast, factual, and focused.
Welcome back, everybody, to a special episode of the Flying S Podcast. We have Mayor Barhorst with us today.
Welcome, Mayor.
Glad to be here.
We wanted to bring you this special episode because we have some vacancies in our boards and on our council just recently that we wanted to discuss. And, you know, when we have things, government doesn't stop moving. And so we will have these special episodes kind of popped in with some additional information as things are happening.
Yeah, we have some openings.
All four ward seats are up for election this year. So first ward, second ward, third ward, fourth ward. They're all up for election. Okay. And we know at least two of our council members are not going to run, second ward and third ward. So they will truly be open.
And you just recently had a resignation due to a move from one of our wards, correct?
That's correct. Mr. Moniaci is leaving Sidney, and so his ward will be open immediately. I think council has decided that if there's only one person who files for that seat and it's uncontested in the general election, then we will seat him at this time, or her. I think that it's council's wish that if there's more than one person, that we not interfere in the election process and we leave the seat vacant until the election.
But the goal would be if there's just one person, you would appoint that individual to serve in the current remaining year of Mr. Moniaci's current term.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Well, I think probably the important thing for listeners to understand is that, you know, council members really have four distinct functions. You know, one is hiring and evaluating the city manager, the city clerk, and the law director. And once those people are hired, we evaluate them at least once a year. That is an important thing that we do. Second is adopting the annual budget. And a third thing we do is respond to constituent concerns. And, you know, sometimes, depending on the council member, they may get lots of concerns expressed to them, and some may get very few. And part of it depends on the ward and the makeup of the ward. You know, I think that, of course, attending meetings is another important responsibility. And, you know, it's been a little simpler under the current city manager because council has met roughly about twice a month. Previously, we were meeting 3 times a month, and we only do that a couple of times. So I think that's made the job of council members a little more reasonable. And I think the last thing is passing legislation. So, you know, those are really the primary things that council members do.
And I guess the other important thing, too, as a distinction that council does get to do, and I think we share some of this because there are some appointees that the city manager has. There are some specific to the mayor and some council as a whole, but they're all confirmed by city council. So talk about some of the boards and commissions that we have where somebody as a volunteer could get involved into our community. And because I know we're always having openings for that, and it's a really great way for the community members to get involved.
I think we have, and I'm going to throw out a number, I think 80-some volunteers who serve on the various boards that we have. Probably the most popular board is Parks and Recreation. I think...
it's the most fun board.
Well, people... well, that's only a matter of opinion. But I think people... you know, love our parks and want to be part of that. And traditionally, we have not rotated people. If people are willing to continue serving, they continue to serve. So when you have somebody like Mary Janitas who serves for 50 years,
sure,
that doesn't open up that position very often, and maybe not even in your lifetime. So, you know, the nice thing about Mary is that she always brought fresh ideas to the table. And I think that those are the kind of members you need. You don't want somebody who just comes and sits and whiles away their time. You want somebody who has fresh ideas.
Someone who's passionate about the community, right? Someone who wants to give back to the community and not just put it on their resume.
I think you want people who come energized and ready to go to work.
So there's two different processes that we're kind of talking about right now. There's a different process to apply to be a council member versus just a regular board like the Parks Board.
The ward council members have to get signatures of voters in their ward, and they have to get at least 50 good ones. And based on my own experience, I think it's important to make sure that you've got plenty of extra. I learned the hard way not to fill up, and I know the Board of Elections won't like me saying this, but, you maybe put 10 or 15 on a page instead of the 30-some that you can put on there. So if they throw out one page, you've still got plenty of others to fall back on.
It's a good tip.
Yeah, it's a great tip. So moving forward with this year, obviously the election on November 4th, Tuesday, the general election, if they are interested in running for council, obviously they could always contact us and get more information. But what is the last day to file for somebody interested in running for city council?
August the 6th at 4 p.m. when the Board of Elections closes for the day. So I think that we're running on fumes now. I think if there's still time to do it, because only needing to get 50 good signatures, you ought to be able to do that in a day or two. In the evenings, when you're home from work or whatever your schedule is. But if you put it off too long, you're going to run into trouble. So, my experience is that I try to do a few each day, and I'm at large, so I need more signatures. But, you're going to end up talking to constituents as you get their signature. And some of them, in my case, people I've known for years. So the conversation may go on longer than you think it might.
So they get the signatures, and then they take it to the Board of Elections. What else do they need to have to take with them?
They need to have some cash or a check, because there is a cost to file, and that's basically it. You submit them, they then review them. I think it's probably maybe 10 days, 2 weeks later that they certify who's going to run. So you don't find out right away whether or not you're even on the ballot. You may think you've got 50 good signatures and discover you've only got 48.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And especially if they, it's interesting to me that they will discount signatures if they're not legible, right?
If you see a signature that is not legible, the other thing that's problematic is if, let's say, for example, you registered to vote when you were 18 and you're now my age, your signature probably has changed. And it's, if your signature is altered dramatically, as the person who is signing, you can always print your name underneath it if it doesn't look legible. But typically, I've not seen too many thrown out for that reason. But again, if you've got somebody has an illegible signature, you may want to get an extra one to take its place. So if they do throw it out, you're not short.
Right.
So to recap, two very distinct levels of engagement or being able to volunteer as a community member. There is a council path where you can run for election and be a part of city council. 7 total members, 3 at large, 4 ward members. Amongst the 7 of you, you elect every 2 years a mayor and also a vice mayor. That's Vice Mayor Wagner. And I know we'll have both of you back on to do a more deep dive on council and sort of where the city's heading. And then in addition, council also appoints the boards and commissions, various here within the city. As you had mentioned, over 80 volunteers that are a part of that. So if somebody's looking to get involved and do not want to commit the full time and attention it would be to city council, You can always contact us, and we may be able to find a board or commission seat that may suit you, maybe your education or your experience, to where you can get involved.
There's an online application. All the boards and commissions are listed. So I think if somebody is truly interested, they really ought to get on the city's website, look at the various boards and commissions, and then submit the online application to Clerk Egbert so that they can be considered when there's an opening on one of those commissions.
Yeah, even if there is not an opening, but you still have interest in a board, you can still fill out this form just so then if there is an opening, then Carrie will be able to reach out to them and say, hey, we have this opening. Are you still interested?
That's exactly right. And I think, sometimes openings occur, like Mr. Moniaci leaving the city council. Openings occur because people are in transition all the time. And it's always good to have that pool of applicants so that you're not struggling to fill a planning commission seat or a tree board seat or whatever the board happens to be. So,
yeah, and like we said, you can find all of that information about the different boards on our website very easily. When you are up at the top of the website, it'll say government. You hover over that, and it'll show you boards and commissions, and they're A through Z. And the form is right on there too. And if you can't fill out the form online, come in and we will print one off for you to be able to apply for those.
Or you can call and we'll put one in the mail to you.
Yeah.
It's easy.
We'll get it to you one way or another. But, we've talked a lot on this podcast about volunteerism and, when you invest into your community, then you feel the output too. Like you see what you're accomplishing on those boards.
For sure.
I think a lot of people who volunteer, their whole image of what happens behind the scene changes because they realize it's not just, 7 people sitting at a table every other Monday night making decisions. And I think if you only show up at 1 or 2 meetings, it may appear as though we're not even talking about what we're voting on because they don't see that we've talked about this, whatever it happens to be, for 8, 10, 12, 15 weeks in advance, sometimes years in advance. So by the time it finally comes to a vote, there's not much left to say or ask. We've already asked those questions.
And I'll say this too, coming from other communities, and I know, Mayor, you've went around the entire state. One of the only people, if not the only person, that has met literally every 88 county seat mayors and beyond. But there are always challenges when you have 7 different individuals and certainly the community involved and talking through very complex tasks. A lot of people sort of just unknown of the way that government works on a variety of different levels, but even more importantly, the local level. I've got to give a lot of special applause and credence to your leadership here, as well as the rest of council, of all rowing in the same boat. Sidney has had for great things, and I really want to thank you for not only your time today, but your ability and leadership to continue driving Sidney into the future.
Well, thank you. I think the idea of rowing the boat in the same direction has been there since I joined council back in the mid-'70s. I still remember the very stern lecture that Mayor Van Fossen gave all of us. When we're behind closed doors, we can yell and scream and fight all we want to. When we walk out this door, we're united and we're one. And that's the way it is. And I learned that lesson and have tried to model that same behavior.
Absolutely. Well, with a closeout, I do want to say a special thank you to Councilmember Moniaci. Thank you for the 4 years that you had given here to the city of Sidney and serving on city council. It's no easy task. Everybody serves in their own possible way. We wish him and his family well, and thank you for the time and dedication.
Amen.
And a really quick recap. I know we kind of discussed a lot in such a short amount of time, but if you are interested in running for that council seat or interested in any council seat that's becoming available, go to the Board of Elections, get your packet, get the signatures, and turn that in before, what was the date again?
It was August the 6th at 4 p.m.
August the 6th at 4 p.m. If you are interested in one of those other boards, feel free to check them out on our website.
Please.
Well, Until next time.
Bye.
Bye.